What's up, chat? Let's fucking go! Let's go! Another stream, another day without Midna on my screen. Why don't you fix it by drawing your own? Midna be like... I can't remember. It's something like this, right? This is my general impression of Midna, based on my very poor memory. She's like this, and then she has like the big boobs. Yamero, I need the imp. Of course it's the imp Kumers who would come into someone's stream and complain about not getting enough imp content. The imp Kumers are the brainless ass-lusting, animalistic fuckers of the internet, whereas adult true form Midna appreciators are the sophisticated, aristocratic, mature men who understand what a beautiful woman actually looks like instead of just a big short stack ass demon. Her boobs are fairly modest. I can't even remember what she looks like. You only get her for like 3 seconds, right? So... Then she breaks the mirror, forever cock-blocking you, tragic. Historically speaking, Link has a long tradition of being cock-blocked. That's just the way it is. Is Shrek an ugly bastard? Yes. He's created and played literally by a comedian who, in a different movie, created a character, Fat Bastard, or whatever. What was it? Fat Ugly Bastard, or is it just Fat Bastard? The very definition of a fat, ugly bastard, so... Just fat? Okay. Fat Scottish bastard. Ganon is actually a multiversal entity that keeps rebooting the universe every time Link gets close to swiping his V card. What if it's not Ganon that's doing it? What if it's all Zelda? What if it's all a conspiracy by her? Everybody in chat should be able to understand what I'm drawing right now just by the angles of the lines on the screen. It should be extremely obvious what is going on here. Rule 63 Garfield. Yes, thank you for putting that image in my mind. Something that I definitely did not need to think about, Constrictor. Garfield hentai, a masterpiece. Who is the uke and who is the seme in Garfield hentai? I assume that John is the uke all the time. I assume it's all like, Garfield, what did I say about not fucking my ass in this while I'm sleeping or whatever? But on the other hand, Garfield is too lazy to be a proactive participant in gay sex, so... You think John was the uke since he feeds and houses Garfield, but he could easily send him to the vet anytime, therefore he is the master in this relationship? I can't even remember the name of the female that appears. The possible love interest of John. Maybe Garfield is the power bottom? I don't know. Garfield not willing to do any work himself, but also the dominant master in the relationship. Service Top John. I guess every cat owner is probably a service top. Actually, that's more of a cultural stereotype. I feel like dog owners are way more service tops than cat owners. I think I've talked about this before, but you have to do way more shit as a dog owner than you have to do as a cat owner. It's always weird how dog owners are like, cat people, they like being bossed around by their pets because they're stupid cucks, LOL. It's like, dude, you're the one who has to like walk around with a fucking bag to pick up your dog's shit all the time. Are you sure that the dog is serving you instead of the other way around? If you're a cat owner, you don't really have to do anything. Cat is probably the least effort, lowest effort pet that you can just straight up ignore, depending on the cat. The cat prefers to be alone. Dogs, you have to like just straight up dedicate a certain percentage of your day to making sure the dog is comfortable and won't be shitting on your rug and stuff like that. It's way more of an investment. You also have all this sort of like legal shit you have to worry about if you don't properly train your dog and it like kills a local baby or something like that. Stupid babies getting in the way of my pit bull's jaws all the time. Cat is definitely the easiest pet. I know, because I've been thinking of like getting a pet and I'm like, what is the easiest pet? And it's like, actually it's a fucking cat. I was like, I want an easier pet than a cat, and there literally isn't any easier pet than a cat. Everything else requires like equipment or like time investment and shit. Get a cat? No. I will not be getting a cat. I've had enough cats in my life, considering my mother has been someone who has owned cats since I was a kid. I finally have the joy of not having to deal with cats. Jumping spider? Are spiders really pets? If the animal doesn't really acknowledge me as a human being and just sees me as like this vaguely defined location from which food emerges, I don't know if it counts as like any kind of pet relationship. You can say that like every pet is that way, but like the dog owner response is like, that's literally what a cat is. But as someone who is super annoyed by having a cat require me to be there emotionally for it for the last like 8 years or so, that's definitely not the case. The cat was not satisfied when all I did was feed it. It required nuzzling. Very annoying. Anyways, I'm not having any pets for definitely quite a while going forward. Especially considering I'm moving soon. Pubic crabs. Is that what was happening when I encountered the pet of that one woman who was standing on the corner in Tokyo? Did I just encounter her pubic crab pet colony? It's not an infestation, it's my pets. Pet syphilis. Could you claim that bacteria as a pet or not? I can't remember if syphilis was a virus or bacteria. Syphilis bacteria? It is a bacteria. It's a Treponema pallidum subspecies. Pubic crabs. It's what they look like, guys. Look at these little critters go. Brainworm is also a nice pet. How did RFK Jr. get his pet brainworm? AI overview. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. likely contracted the parasite often identified by experts as pork tapeworm larva while traveling in developing countries. Kennedy, known for his work as an environmental advocate, traveled extensively in Africa, South America, and Asia. Didn't he specifically say that he got it when he was like, picked up like a carcass or something? I like how even the AI summary of RFK Jr.'s information doesn't actually believe what RFK Jr. says. While he originally believed the worm ate a portion of his brain, experts noted it is more accurate that the larva caused a lesion or cyst which then died. Technically, we have a bunch of shit living in our skin, so we all have pets. Yeah, my stomach biome is my fucking pet. I wouldn't be able to digest anything without it. Extremely helpful, actually. What did you name your pet? Hemorrhoids? Unlike my pubic crabs, my hemorrhoids are not a pet. They're a part of my body. They're just a bunch of engorged blood vessels. That would be like if you named your boner, which is something that I guess a lot of people probably do. You mean some guys don't name their cocks? What's the most epic name that you could give to your cock? I think I'm gonna name my cock Deathbringer. It brings upon the death of billions of sperm. Cervix hammer. That one time when my cervix was penetrated by the giant cock of the ugly Oji-san, and it immediately made me orgasm. That's my new isekai title. Guys, I hate to tell you this, but bussy, it's not a real thing. What we call the bussy is actually the male asshole. Oh shit, Philly is up by quite a bit. I probably will end this stream relatively early after halftime because I want to actually watch Game 7. Bussy is just as real as Gawk. I'm sorry, but there is no such thing as Gawk. What you saw was an extremely enlarged clitoris. From what I know, the clitoris is also non-existent. It's some sort of hidden button that women keep on claiming you have to find. Just because you can't find it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If it was as obvious as it was in hentai, it wouldn't be that hard to find, but apparently in real life, women don't have massive clit dicks 5 centimeters long. Unlike the One Piece, the clitoris is not real. I don't know if, like, the boomers ever actually had doubts about the clitoris not being real. I think they just couldn't find it. Let's actually ask AI. How long was the female orgasm considered a myth? The female orgasm was treated as a myth or socially non-existent for centuries, with scientific consensus shifting from ancient acknowledgement to 19th century denial and 20th century controversy. The notion of a vaginal orgasm was declared a myth by feminists in the 1960s. Good job, feminists. While scientific evidence for ejaculation in the clitoral complex only gained mainstream acceptance recently. Why is it that feminists are literally wrong about everything? In 1968, feminist Anne Cote wrote The Myth of the Vaginal Orgasm, citing Masters and Johnson's work to argue that true female orgasm comes from the clitoris, not the vagina, shattering Freud-influenced myths. The face when your girlfriend can't peg you with her engorged clit. You're just gonna have to pay $300 for the fisting instead. It's the only way. Sex is bad, am I right, fellow virgins? It kind of is bad. Based on the whole, you know, syphilis part of the conversation we started with. Masturbation never gave you a life-altering illness that is incurable. Just pointing that one out. Well, I take that back, actually. There's probably masturbation-caused illnesses such as stretched-out assholes if you're a little too energetic with the whole process. I guess you could fuck up your life if you start sticking larger and larger dildos up your asshole. That might cause some complications, I guess. I'd just like to point out that there's no amount of, like, huge boob and huge ass size that you give Alexis and will feel like it's off-model. Her entire body is literally built for sex. She's built like straight up a hentai character. So when you like buff the boobs on her, there's a lot of characters where when you like increase the breast size, it's like that's inaccurate, that looks wrong. But like you can make her boobs as large as you want and she still looks like on model for some reason. She is the very definition of a character that was built for sex from day one, which is why it's hilarious that she will never get any. I always thought Alexis sounded like a porn star name. It's literally a porn star name. There's multiple porn stars named Alexis. I would know because back in the day, when you would go onto porn websites, they'd have all the porn stars. Like, the list would always be in alphabetical order instead of, like, popularity. So, it would start at A, and there would be, like, 6 Alexis. I assume that they took that name primarily for the alphabetical reason. Hoping that people would be like, I'll jack off to the first name I see. Has anyone told you could be a stand-up comedian, LMAO? Well, considering there's like 17 viewers in chat, I'm gonna be a little skeptical about that one. Also, I'm not saying anything funny, I'm just speaking truth to the world. I'm just pointing out stuff that should be obvious to people, but people haven't verbalized yet. The true Red Bull is that if the clitoris is something framing the vaginal canal, girth is everything and pencil dicks can't compete. I have said the story recently about how my mother let it slip at one point in casual conversation that it's girth that matters. And I was like, thanks for that information, Mom. I don't think I really wanted to hear it from my mother's mouth, but it is what it is. Words that have been said that cannot be unsaid were spoken. Any girl you ask will say that, though. I like the girls who are like, I like you very much, Anon, but because my pussy is so incredibly tight, I cannot take in your gigantic, engorged, 3-inch long, massive cock. I'm just too small and tight for you. Which is why we can no longer be a couple anymore, because your penis is just too stressful on my vagina. And I'll be like, I guess that's understandable. I'm just too masculine for her. I was gonna go on a speech about how it's not fair that men have to worry about their cock size, but women don't have to worry about their pussy tightness, because men really won't care as long as they have an opportunity to stick it in. But then I remembered a time in which I was in high school, and for some reason, a Japanese girl showed up at the school for a very brief period of time. I don't know if she was planning on like being an exchange student or what, but she was one of these like troubled girls who couldn't find a place in Japanese society, so she was trying to find a place in foreign society instead, but she couldn't properly speak English. So the result was like she spoke to me for like 2 hours straight while I was pretending to pay attention but not really paying attention. And because she was one of these troubled girls, of course she already had a black boyfriend somehow, and she was complaining to me that she was worried because she thought her vagina was too loose or something. And I was just like, uh-huh. So, long story short, I guess women do worry about their vagina looseness depending on the situation. If you notice that I haven't had many conversations with other human beings ever since I graduated from high school, so most of my stories of human contact are I'm still running on whatever information I was able to accumulate while I still had some kind of social life during high school. And I have not grown as a human being at all since I was like 17, so that's not really a good sign, but you know, it do be like that sometimes. Smart move, to be honest. I mean, if there's one thing that men should know about women, is that half of the time when a woman is talking to you, she just wants you as a wall to speak to, not your opinion on anything. So that is something that I have a lot of experience from my mother. My mother will constantly ask me for advice, and she has literally never followed any of the advice I give her. Me being like all Aspergery and stuff, I start off by assuming that she's actually consulting me on something, and I'm like, I'm not an expert on this, mother, but I do happen to know about this, this, and this, so perhaps you should do this. And she has literally never, ever followed my advice at any point in my life in like 40 years of being alive. So, yeah, she just wants to, she basically has already made up her mind, and she just wants to like talk to someone or hear her own voice. And me being autistic, I have told her this many times to not talk to me if you're never actually ever gonna take my advice, even when my advice is 100% correct. But she will never take that advice as well. She doesn't take the advice of not talking to me either, so it's completely hopeless. I have avoided this situation now by moving out of the house, so I think we've solved that problem at least. I haven't had much contact since college. Most people form all of their relationships at college for the last time, and after that, like, there's a reason why it's like you better get married or find like your long-term girlfriend in college, because like after that you're kind of fucked. Your chances of being able to get married go way down if you're still single after college. Well, I guess I'm fucked. Yeah, you kind of are. You're now in the zone in which you have to form human relationships, like, inorganically, because workplace dating really isn't a thing. So you're gonna have to start using, like, dating sites and shit. If governments want to know why the birth rates have gone so far down, like, everyone complains about the price and shit, but that's really the number one reason, right? In that we don't have, like, arranged marriages anymore. And then, like, a lot of people still don't even go to college, so there just isn't, like, any way to form relationships organically anymore. But we don't have the inorganic relationships either, because no one has arranged marriages. Because, like, in Japan, I don't know about American birth numbers, but in Japan, the people who actually do get married, they have, like, 2 or 3 kids. Probably around 2. They have more than 1 kid, so the birth rate wouldn't be going down if it was just, if everybody was getting married. It's not like people aren't having enough kids. It's because people aren't forming relationships like me. Fuck that, I ain't using Tinder, it's a humiliation ritual. Yes. It do be like that. My third place is yada yada yada. Yeah, we've all heard that stuff, but realistically, like, everybody who's out of schooling, like, where the fuck are you gonna, if you actually wanted to find a mate, someone to mate with, how would you do it, right? It's kind of an impossibility. Tinder isn't mating for dating anyways, yes. Tinder is just a less effective form of Grindr. Tinder is Gussy Grindr. The real people looking for something real, and they all look like they're about to pull the trigger. Sniffy's is Grinder for degens. I wonder if Sniffy's has a presence in Japan. I don't think so. The secret is nothing is real, it's all convenience. I think there is a sliding scale of different levels of unreal human relationships, and random shit that you get on Tinder is probably on the higher scale of unreliable, unreal human relationships. I'm afraid to ask, but what's the difference? Sniffy's, if you look on the map, they have like a find people map, and if you look on the map, you can like hover your mouse cursor on top of the person's profile, and instead of the person's face, half the time he'll just be showing his cock. He'll just be like, 6 miles distance, would you like to suck my cock? It's like, huh. Thank God he posted that photo, or else I wouldn't know whether you have an attractive cock or not. It would be awful if I met you and I was turned off by the shape of your dick. That would be awkward. There is zero foreplay. It turns out that if the entire society was composed of gay men, like all the candies and flowers businesses would go out of business. We wouldn't have to do any whining and dining. We could just go directly to the sucking and fucking and fisting for $300. But because women need to be properly wined and dined and showing a financial commitment, we have to have all these extra industries. If only women could be so straightforward and show their cocks in their dating profiles. If futa females were a thing, how incredibly popular do you think they would be? They would be more popular among females and men than people who don't have a dick. Well, maybe not women. I don't know, actually, now that I think about it. Women don't actually get along with women. If a futa is just a female with a cock, women don't necessarily really need a cock that much. And then they also don't get along with each other based on lesbian divorce rates, so maybe that's not the case at all. They would be super popular with men, though. They would definitely activate the latent homosexual instincts that every guy has. And then all guys would be like, yeah, I'm sucking her cock, but it's not gay, she's a futa. And, you know, it would really help all the Republicans who are eternally in the closet, you know? They would be able to keep up their whole facade of, you know, I'm not gay, much easier. Are we talking dick and pussy futa or just cock and ass? I think by definition futa has to be dick and pussy. Futa, the Japanese word for futa means like two. So it's just by definition it means like you have multiple sex organs. So she-males who is just, you know, it looks like female, but you have to use the asshole. I don't think it counts as a futa. back in my day, all futa was it was just vagina and penis, and many times they wouldn't even have a penis. First, they would just have their clitoris, and once they got sexually aroused, the cock would grow out of their clitoris. I'm talking about you, Bible Black. I'm assuming that most of us in this chat are scholars of history, so we all know the Bible Black futa canon, but for any zoomies in chat, the teacher who spends the entirety of Bible Black fucking the girl students with her futa cock does not have her futa cock out at all times. It grows out of her clitoris area when she activates the demonic rituals. You're bringing dark magic in the mix, though? I mean, how else are you gonna get the futa cock? I assume there's some futas who naturally have the futa cock, but I was there 3,000 years ago. My favorite Bible Black character was Sayaki-san. She's the girl with the blonde ponytail, not the blonde Ojo-sama with the curls. She has this, like, girl next door, but also incredibly hot kind of energy to her. This is the one I'm talking about. Local girl next door tells you to come to her room. She's wearing tight turtleneck in which you can see the nipple bumps, and she's like, I like black magic. And you're like, huh. She seems interesting. Like a true conservative, he goes for the girl next door, but he's radical, so he needs her to be a futa. She's not really a futa. 90% of the time, the futa is the teacher. The teacher is just like in futa mode 95% of the time. I think there was one scene with Sayaki when she grew her cock in one of the extra videos, but most of the time she's just normal situation. Is Hystrixia into black magic? That's a good question. The black magic in Bible Black isn't really... Like, the only thing they use the black magic for is growing futa cocks, if I remember. And then they also summon a tentacle demon at one point. They don't really do it to do anything else. Also, I think the main character uses it to cast like a charm spell on one of the female characters early on. I think that's about it. I can't imagine that Hystrixia would be so benign in her witchcraft if she actually had access to it. I think we draw the hair later. Doesn't Kitami possess the main heroine and then use his magic to get a cock? I can't remember when she initially gets her cock. Would you rather have bigger balls or a bigger cock? I mean, in what situation is having bigger balls actually helpful? I feel like if your ball size isn't directly tied to the amount of semen production you get out of it, then it's just making a larger target for somebody to kick you in the balls. For storing pee, duh. I'm sorry, I forgot about the whole pee storage part of testicles. How many of you have been kicked in the balls like super hard? The last time I got kicked in the balls was probably in like middle school or something. I was at like a summer camp and we were playing a game of volleyball, except we were using like a silly modified rules in which we were like kicking the ball back and forth with our legs across the hoop. Not the hoop, the net. And you can probably guess where I'm going with this, but one of these dumbass kids fucking just like, instead of kicking the ball correctly, just fucking kicked me between my legs full force. I'm lucky to not have like one of my testicles explode because of that. But I got kicked full force in the balls, and they were like, haha, that's funny. It was not funny at all. So, Hystrixia won't know this, but the interesting thing about getting kicked in the balls is, besides like the paralyzing pain, like your body just loses like all kind of muscle control. Like you can't really stand up almost because your organs are getting kicked, and then like you can't hold your muscles in place, so you have to shit afterwards. Like your body is like, fuck, I can't hold the sphincter muscle anymore. So I had to go and like shit immediately after I got kicked in the balls. It's a very weird situation. It shows that there's a reason our organs are inside our body instead of the outside of our body. We shouldn't have vital organs just hanging outside where they can be kicked. You feel it in your stomach, like the pain isn't in your balls. Yeah, it's like directly tied to a lot of organs. It's a very weird situation. But the semen needs to be cooled? Yeah, but not all the other animals necessarily have balls on the outside. There's other animals that, like, use cum, but they don't have, like, dangling testicles. Why do humans always have to have their testicles permanently out? Evolution is bullshit. We should have solved this. I guess it's because, like, human body is so weak in general that it doesn't really make any difference if we have balls on the outside or not. It's not like we have, like, a huge fortress of meat and fat, like the elephant seal or anything. Look on the bright side, this way we have CBT. Truly, this chat is the chat of all chats.
Crush my cock with a rock, I must. Maximum pain I must endure. Okay, here we go.
I like how the Yoda commits self-CBT with rock says ASMR on it. I wouldn't know that it was ASMR without Yoda, the title to tell me that it was Yoda CBT ASMR. Run over youngling after consuming death stick ketamine, I will. Honestly, somehow less unhinged than the CBT performance. I mean, how important can younglings be? We kind of have a lot of them, you know? Anakin did nothing wrong, is basically what I want to say. Speaking of Yoda, did you hear that Marvel has fired, like, all of their art department or something? Not Marvel, Disney. The MCU art department is just straight up getting erased. Disney is truly in its, like, completely cooked mode now. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. Like, the MCU was fucking cooked even before this, but this is like stage 6 of, like, we have no fucking idea what we're doing. Like, they were already in the downfall after people got tired of endless cape shit with, like, Phase 4, but then they had, what's his name? It beat his wife, and that ruined their entire, like, multiverse plans. And then they were like, okay, what do people like? I know, people like Robert Downey Jr. Let's just have him show up as Doom again or something. Surely that will make money. And now they're like, okay, we need to make more money. Oh, fuck. I know, let's just fire everybody. That's about the level of creativity that American executives have in terms of business. Like, all they can think of doing is just like, let's fire everybody. That will save my ass short term. That's really all they can think of. They are literally hemorrhaging themselves in slow motion. I mean, I guess it's slow motion. It seems pretty fast, right? The problem is that they already had a problem in that the storylines need to end at some point. This is the thing that capitalists of any kind of entertainment industry, fiction-based entertainment industry don't want to hear, is that stories need to end at some point. They have an arc, and once you consume that arc, people don't want to be, like, reading about Frodo as he reaches 100 years old and is sitting in his chair and is dealing with his constipation and shit like that. That's not a story. You can't have Lord of the Rings Part 12 as badly as your Amazon contract wants it to happen. Capitalism doesn't understand finality or capping things off. Money must be made forever. Not only money must be made forever, profits need to increase. They can't just increase, they need to accelerate as they need to increase even faster. There is no limit to the line going up and how quickly it should be going up. Japanese companies have slightly better perspective on this. So some of them have the wherewithal to be like, we're mildly profitable, we don't have to do stuff. But for American capitalism, it's truly like shit has to go up forever. At all times. It's so funny how they care so much about, like, profits and growth and shit like that. But because they care about that stuff, they're also like, that means we need to waste billions and billions and billions of dollars on infrastructure, on something that hasn't made a profit ever. I'm of course talking about AI, but it applies to a lot of things besides AI as well. Dark Horse Comics presents Ultimate Lord of the Rings: A Gollum Story. Gollum, my favorite video game of 2025. Did you see that Elon is trying to sue Altman? Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. What was he trying to sue it over? I don't actually pay any attention to any lawsuit or any news that involves lawsuits at this point, because it won't be resolved anytime soon. It's mostly going to be resolved in the form of a settlement that we won't know the details of, and a lot of them are just frivolous to begin with, so it's really not worth my time. Like, I have better things to pay attention to than whatever stupid frivolous lawsuit of Billionaire 1 against Billionaire 2. At least some people are happy, namely the lawyers. I wonder what they're getting paid on an hourly basis. Probably like $500 an hour. He was claiming that he was initially invested in OpenAI that was supposed to be non-profit. I mean, it was supposed to be non-profit, but I can't understand why Elon would claim that he was unhappy. Is Elon making the claim that he cared about, like, the mission of OpenAI as a non-profit, and he feels betrayed because he cares about the goodness of, like, humanity and, like, protecting the planet and stuff? Because I don't think that's going to work as a lawsuit, because everyone knows he ain't that. Yes, LMAO. Oh, thank God Elon is here to protect us from the dangers of OpenAI. This is just a guy with too much time on his hands, isn't it? He's just someone who doesn't have anything to fill his days with. It's kind of sad, actually. Elon claiming he's sleeping under the desk so that he can invent how to make a car for Tesla. In reality, the only thing he has to do in his time is to use ketamine and pretend that he's good at Path of Exile and then cause lawsuits. It's really kind of sad. Like, at least back in the day, our aristocrats had things they could do with their spare time, like go fox hunting or something. Gossip about who was getting married and who wasn't. Torture their slaves. Some of his comments were so cringe, I want it to be like Star Trek, not like Terminator. LMAO. Imagine thinking that OpenAI or any of the AI is anything close to being like Terminator. You guys wish it was like Terminator, you pathetic little bitches. Its current functionality is that of, well, an autocomplete. Did you guys see the Chinese marathon or half marathon where they had robots compete? And like a bunch of the Western media was like, it's over. Once again, the Chinese have created the robot future and America is still stuck in the past. There's nothing we can do now. Once again, Chinese technology has won. And I actually saw a channel where they had the actual like footage of the race and all this shit where the Western media was glazing the fuck out of China. Like, the robot literally falls over and can't get up, and they had like 30 people had to walk up to it and be like, no, you can do it, Mr. Robot-san, and they had to put it back up on its legs and then like run next to it so it wouldn't like go off course. I swear to fucking God, like, every like AI story about the capabilities of AI is bullshit, but every like technology story about how China is light years ahead of America is also bullshit as well. They're all bullshit. We haven't had any like real technology progress since like 2010. It's just different ways to scam the dumbest people on the internet into believing that their sci-fi future is here. You think it's weird how Boston Dynamics have been uploading videos of robots that just keep falling over for 20 years? So China's about like 4 years behind Boston Dynamics, I would say, in terms of progress, but both are kind of like meaningless, right? Bipedal robots have gotten way better than they used to be, but it's not like they have any real like functionality. Having a robot be bipedal is only cool if like you want to have your in-home sex droid, which we all do want. Actually, if you want a sex droid, you can just like tie her to the bedpost and pretend like she's an amputated fuck-doll like Hystrixia would like, so you don't even need the bipedal functionality. Just tie her to your toilet seat and like write a bunch of stuff on your sex droid's skin. Put the classic Japanese like counting numbers on it and be like, quadruple amputee sex droid. That can save a lot of the whole bipedal balancing issues. I'm just saying, Hystrixia, it's hotter when they have all their limbs. Because then you can tie the limbs behind the head, and the limbs themselves can be used as the bondage tools. If you cut everything off, then there's less stuff to tie up. You're actually limiting the possibilities. What if we gave the bipedal robot a big-ass axe and turned into a mech for the US Army to put crippled veterans in it, MGR styled? I mean, the problem is that we don't really need to put things in robots, right? Then it's just a tank. The problem is that we can just like do all this remotely. That's the kind of the problem. Or Gundams are meaningless. More limbs equals more fun. Yeah, where are all the four-limbed women? Women, if you don't have at least 4 arms, just do the other thing I like, vacuum suit. Remember how the JAV industry used to have like these vacuum videos in which they would put women in like the compressor packs and suck the air out, and then at some point, I guess the regulatory bodies or somebody realized it was like legitimately dangerous and they all had to stop because it was just like a death waiting to happen. I think some people actually did die. I'll give Nico Robin your number. I don't really like Nico Robins. I can grow limb stuff. I don't see it as a multi-limb thing. For me, the ultimate in multi-limb sexiness is always this girl right here, baby. MVC2, baby! Does it get any better than this? No, it does not. Look at all these limbs. Just peak cuteness. Also no eyeballs, that's a plus as well. And she has the thick 80s leg warmers, which serve as bell bottoms to further accentuate the wideness of her hips. Absolute peak coom right here. And then her sprites, you know how she's like constantly dancing, right? The movement is also actual like sexo. And those boobs sway. Beautiful. What a hottie. Of course, nobody knows anything about her and from her original content. It was just Japanese Coomer game designer who was like, I want her in my video game. And that's the only thing we know her from. The samurai helmet is also nice. She never appeared in any comics ever again because she was so annoying to draw, yeah. As is often the case, I'm sure. Drawing even one hand is a pain in the ass. Drawing 6 hands, too much work. Is she a cyborg or are those just bandages? I don't know, it's like 60s or 70s Marvel, so it's all sort of like stupid cosmic shit. I can't remember. I actually read the wiki on her. It's just like a hyper-specific weird scenario in a Marvel comic, and she's never had any kind of significance outside of it. MK Shiva. MK Shiva has the weird butch cut for her hair, though. Do you like Star Wars, and if not, why? I was a huge Star Wars fan back in the day. Because I'm 40 years old, back in the day means pre-episode 1. I enjoyed the expanded universe very much, and all the books and shit we got out of it. Episode 1 was a huge deal for me as like a 12-year-old or something. I can't remember how old I was. But even before the Disney purchase, that was like sort of stage 1 of like Star Wars being less fun, was episode 1. Because while pod racing and all that was cool, it quality-wise it wasn't that great, right? I think what I always liked the most about Star Wars was the aspect of how free the universe felt. So there could be like endless amount of spin-off stories. Like, unlike say Warhammer 40,000, like you can have all sorts of different stories in the Star Wars universe. You can have like bounty hunter stories, you can have like mystical Jedi stories, you can have stories focusing on the Empire, blah blah blah, and so on. So I actually see the blueprint of what Disney thought they could do when they bought the franchise, in that they were saying like, we're going to give it to different directors. We're going to have like, you know, a gritty Star Wars, a fantastical Star Wars, and so on and so on. And they were actually able to accomplish a little bit of it. But ultimately, most of their shit just ended up being like, here's a feminist reinterpretation of A New Hope. Again. Let's do this 6 more times. Pre-episode 1, holy shit, you're old. Pre-episode 1 was a long time, though. Because, like, what? Return of the Jedi was, like, what, 83 or something? 85? I don't remember. It was, like, 10 plus years or whatever. '83, yeah. In fact, we didn't even think we were going to get any episode 1 when I was growing up. I just thought it was something that you were going to consume in books and shit going forward forever. And it turns out that was when I was having the most fun, is reading the Star Wars books instead of, you know, the official media. What are your thoughts on prequel revisionism? As in, kids who grew up with the prequels saying they're really good or whatever? Better prequel revisionism than the Disney Star Wars revisionism. I hope we never get that period. I can't imagine that people will become so nostalgia baited or so stupid that there will be a time in which we're like, actually the Disney Star Wars were good, but I don't know. Who knows? It might actually happen. And if that happens, I'll be the first person in line to be like, no, actually they're absolute dog shit. Can't imagine guy whose favorite game is Final Fantasy VIII. People who have actually played Final Fantasy VIII, raise your hands. Also, it's not one of my favorite games. It's not my favorite game, it's one of my favorite games. It was a train wreck. I think what was interesting was there were a lot of people who thought Disney understood what they were doing at the early stages in A Force Awakens, and I was immediately like, oh fuck, they have no idea what they're doing. Like, I don't understand why people were like, they just remade A New Hope, but that's fine. It's like, how could it possibly be fine? Like, this is supposed to be a continuation of the story. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I didn't understand why people were like, this is a good movie. Like, of course it wasn't a good movie. The reason why I cared about the sequels was because I wanted to see what happened after Empire or Jedi, Return of Jedi, right? Like, the Emperor's dead. What's gonna happen now? It's like, well, nothing's gonna happen. We're just gonna remake the first fucking movie because we have no fucking idea what we're doing. Insanely disappointing shit, and I never watched 2 or 3. By 2 or 3, I mean, you know, the ones after Force Awakens. Last Skywalker, blah, blah, blah. Do you bother watching Rogue One? Yeah, I watched Rogue One. It was okay. It's considered to be one of the better of the Disney Star Wars, and it's still just like an okay movie. It's like a nice palate cleanser or a change of pace. But as is often the problem with things where we know what's going to happen, i.e. everyone's going to die, that hurts it quite a bit. Rogue One is mediocre, it's so nothing. I think people have to convince themselves that Rogue One is good. I don't think people actually think Rogue One is good in a vacuum. It's just that everything else is dog shit. They don't want to be like, everything is truly dog shit and disappointing. So they're just sort of clinging on to something that's even slightly okay. I tried giving them the benefit of the doubt with The Force Awakens. I noped out with the other 2 films. I was the same as you, but when I was going into The Force Awakens, I was actually very optimistic because I actually do give Disney quite a bit of credit for what they did with the MCU. So I thought that they would be relatively good stewards of the, you know, the lore, being able to take the lore and transmit it to a new audience. I thought they would be able to do it, and boy was I fucking wrong. But they did have a good art department, so you can understand why I'd be tricked by this. Like, the first 5 minutes of The Force Awakens, when Rey is, like, in her speeder going across the desert, and there's, like, giant fucking Star Destroyers in the desert in the background that have crashed. I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I wanted to see. Looks fucking awesome. And then from that point forward, it's just downhill, of course, so... I was truly out when they were like... After giving no sort of explanation on the state of the planet or the galaxy, after Jedi, they were like, the New Order! They've created a new Death Star, except it's even more deathy. Look how deathy this Death Star is, guys. Oh man, this is the deathest Death Star of all time. Way more than the previous Death Stars. We changed an entire planet into a Death Star. And then the laser beam, it goes through hyperspace, guys. Don't explain how that works. Not that it ever mattered, but let's just fucking ignore previous conventions of how, you know, science works in Star Wars. Opinion on Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. Good casting, super boring character. It's not really his fault that it's super boring. George Lucas is the one who's writing those scripts, so... Again, part of the reason why I was optimistic about Disney owning the Star Wars franchise was because I didn't think Lucas was actually capable of making anything good at this point. I had come to the conclusion that a lot of the reason why Star Wars was good was because he had, like, really talented people around him to steward the whole thing. And now that he had become, like, too powerful, he was just gonna make not very good movies. I thought that was unavoidable, so I was like, actually, this is probably going to be better in the hands of Disney, and I was obviously very wrong. But it's not like the prequels were like amazing masterpieces. The good thing about George Lucas is he has a very strong vision of what the world should be like and what should happen and stuff like that. And that's way better than, like, the corporate slop that we got from Disney. But he doesn't have much, he doesn't have, like, super good instincts at making, like, a baseline level good movie, like, on an entertaining level. Like, he doesn't understand, like, if we have a 10-minute scene in which the Jedi explain tax policy right now, it's not going to be very good, etc., etc., so... Now he's probably regretting ever selling it. He's basically said as much. He hasn't come out and said, like, fuck you, Disney, because contractually he's obligated to not say that, but he's basically said it as close as he can say it in an interview. Lucas is a good ideas man. He's not a good director or writer. The truth is, Lucas had, like, the easiest part of the whole setup. Honestly, if you have, like, the kind of talent that he got surrounded with, I don't know how he ended up, like, with fucking John Williams as his goddamn composer, but, like, with the amount of, like, super talented, generation-defining, like, special effects and music and stuff like that, all these, like, artists to, you know, realize the world and shit, it's like, of course Star Wars was successful. Like, it would be like me if I was like, I have a vision for a great RPG video game. Who am I gonna get? I'm gonna get Uematsu Nobuo in his prime as my composer. Like, that's already, you're already like halfway there, right? Keep in mind, Lucas is the reason Duel of the Fates has acquired. He told Williams to put that in, give the man credit. It would have probably been pretty good even without Choir, dude. Like, the choir is cool and all, but... Like, come on, man. I'm not gonna give him much credit, sorry. Star Wars was just an okay idea that went too far. It was actually a good idea because people hadn't done it at the time. But it was like, it has like the first adopter juice is what's going on. Because like the other big science fiction property at the time, at least on screen media, was Star Trek. And Star Wars was like the opposite of it. Star Trek, everything is kind of buttoned down. It's about space colonialism as like a force of good. It's all like this pristine cabin interior. And then Star Wars, they take that and they make it into, you know, cool bar scenes in which you want to hang out with all these like cool aliens and shit. Opinion on Trekkies? I don't understand them. I don't see what they enjoy. What kind of people are Trekkies in other parts of their lives? That's one question I have. My opinion would be that they're the nerdiest of nerds, but that's just too much of a milquetoast opinion. Maybe they're like semi-autistic and they like the order or something of the whole thing. It's a real sort of SMT style order versus chaos between the Star Wars Mos Eisley Cantina versus the Star Trek Enterprise Bridge. And I don't understand the people who are like, I like the world in which everything is properly in order and we get to go to the holodeck and have a Victorian historical fantasy episode or whatever. Accountants. I am a Trek fan, but not to that extent that some are. I guess it depends on whether you're like an OG Star Trek fan, whether you're a like a new generation, next generation Star Trek fan, whether you're a Voyager fan, whether you just like what's her name, Seven of Nines, because she has big boobs in a tight spacesuit. They seem like nerds who really want to be optimistic but can't. I mean, that is a big part about Star Trek, right? Is that it's all about optimism. It's from a much more optimistic time in the United States where they saw US as like a leader of the global order. And like all the sorts of different races can get along and achieve great things through colonialism. It's really a byproduct of when America was like truly on top of shit. In a way that seems kind of irrelevant now. Pretty much not all Trek is decent Trek. I mean, it's a TV show, so a large percentage of it is just going to be bad. That's usually the case for TV shows, right? You have to have so many fucking episodes, so... It was some of the male characters in Star Trek, baby's first crushes. Ooh, angry Klingon who hates me. So sexy. I'm assuming it's not Captain Kirk that you like. Who was your first fictional crush? It might have been Ray from Sailor Moon. Sailor Mars, maybe. Because that was like when I was 6 or so. Or some of the girls from Gundam, Victory Gundam. For those of you who haven't watched Victory Gundam, it's an entire anime about a young prepubescent boy getting sexually molested by older women who all traumatically die. Tomino was on a fucking heater when he made Victory Gundam. He was like, we're just gonna have non-stop Oneshota scenes, and then like the women are just gonna die one by one. I can only imagine that he created Victory Gundam to give me like the most traumatic experience I could possibly get as a child when I went to Japan in like 1993 or whatever. Star Trek was Gene Roddenberry talking about his leftist views, and Next Gen was about discussing philosophy and it was clashing with others in an otherwise post-scarcity society. Deep Space Nine was testing the egalitarian federation, seeing if they could put those ideals to the fire by having a federation go to war. See, I haven't seen any Star Trek, really, except like a few episodes here and there. When I said that Victory Gundam was fucking Oneshota the anime, I fucking meant it. You go to Gundam Wiki and immediately if you go Shrike Team, you get this fucking image of all the girls being like, hey little boy, look at us wearing our volleyball uniforms while we coddle you. And then here's his cute childhood friend, also an One-san, to the side, being all tsum-tsum. And if you look at this one image, you're like, wow, this looks like a really fun harem anime. The brown ginger doing things to me, you're talking about her, right? I think her name was Penny. I think that was the girl that did it the most for me as well. No, Kate Bush. LMAO, part of the Bush family. I can't remember how she died, but it was, I think it was pretty bad. Yeah, she's killed specifically. This was like an extremely traumatizing death for me as a child, because she's one of the cutest of them. And then in the fucking anime, she's like, they have like a shuttle launch, and then she's the support structure of the shuttle ramp is like being damaged. So she's like, I have to keep this in place, and like the enemies also need the shuttle to launch, so they're like, we're gonna cooperate in the time being, and then but they're like, actually we don't really need the pilot to be alive, so they fucking take the beam saber and just like stick it in her cockpit to vaporize only her while she's trying to do something good for humanity. And of course, like, she gets fucking absolutely vaporized. Yeah. It's illegal to kill cute girls. That's what you would think, right? Unfortunately, the entirety of Victory Gundam is like this, basically, from beginning to end. They introduce, like, all these cute girls, and then they just fucking kill them one after another. That's the entirety of the Shrike Team. It's just like, look at all these cute girls. They're all gonna fucking die. Feels good, man. Tomino has some serious mental issues. Also, that Tsuntsun blonde girl Ojo-sama, that is Uso's childhood friend, ends up going psycho batshit crazy and becomes the main antagonist of the anime. And then instead of dying in the last episode, Uso finds her and she's like blind and has lost her mind and is wandering around as a beggar. Who wrote this? Tomino, of course. Tomino, the director of all Gundam, who started to have an increasingly more and more deranged direction as the Gundam series continued. And it actually peaked around Victory Gundam, I think. Victory Gundam is probably his most deranged series. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I like it when the anime girls don't die. Sometimes it's hot. Like, everybody agrees that Aura in Free Ren being getting mind controlled and being forced to cut off her own head is pretty fucking hot, right? That's why she became so popular. Everyone was like, I don't have a decapitation fetish, a self-decapitation fetish until now, but this anime is doing things to my dick. But as just a baseline, I kind of enjoy it when the cute girls don't die. I too don't like it when anime girls die, except when they take a burning hammer. That shit's awesome. Burning hammer? Do you mean Gordion Hammer? I guess they rebounded with Gundam G being literally Saturday morning cartoon. Kind of. But that was a different director. Tomino didn't rebound until he did a 180 with Turn A Gundam. Turn A Gundam is the opposite. I don't know if he got like on meds or something, but he just decided that nobody's gonna die in Turn A Gundam. Also, there's gonna be lots of bussy. For those of you who haven't seen Turn A Gundam, you really should. Especially the people who make bussy comments. It has some of the primest prime bussy. It's actually one of the earliest forms of recognized bussy, high quality bussy in the anime industry. Rora Rora came around right at the same time as Bridget. This was in the 90s when Japanese was really like tapping into the potential of bussy. Reminder that this is like the first fucking episode of Turn A Gundam. They're starting off with this extremely masculine ass of the main character. And he has this tiny like fish toy that he uses to conceal his masculine cock. And then he spends all the time of the anime cross-dressing in frilly dresses and going to elegant balls and stuff like that. And doing My Fair Lady walking with books type stuff. He's cute. Weird that I haven't seen him. He is one of the earliest, like, I'm heterosexual, but I want to fuck this boy characters. I remember there was Laura Rolla. I want to fuck the bussy doujins showing up at the time, like in the 90s, when we didn't have this huge doujin market. And the main antagonist of the story also spends all of the time insisting that the main character is in fact a girl and he should become his bussy sex slave, essentially. It's a pretty unhinged anime now that you think about it that way. This Gundam's description doesn't seem to have much mech action. It's like kind of Shakespearean comedy. Lots of cross-dressing and twins that look the same at each other, but they're not twins. But when you're tired from all the other Tomino Gundams just being all about people dying in sad, depressing ways, it's a really nice change of pace. And it was supposed to be like the final Gundam at the time, and of course that can't be the case because, you know, they need to continue to make money, but it was a very nice Gundam. I enjoyed it. There's like 2 movies, so if you don't want to watch the TV show, you should just watch the movies. In general, I'm someone who advocates for, if there's like a movie version of a Gundam series, you should just watch the movies. Because there's always like filler episodes in 50-episode anime. I cannot in good conscience be like, you have to watch a 50-episode anime if there's a movie version of it. Most mecha stories are born because authors want to write things and use mechas just to get it published, or they really like robots. I personally like stuff being made by people who fucking love robots and who have hot-blooded spirit boiling through their veins, and the only way they can express that hot-bloodedness is by screaming. Like, I don't think Gao Geiger wants to say anything besides, I'm hot-blooded. Robot is cool. Ga 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 wo ga ga. Go Nagai, of course, wanted to express sex, as he always does. Go Nagai be like, haha, what if female-shaped robot but also shoot missiles that are boobs? Haha, that would be funny. Is there any rape in Gundam? No, that was Macros. I'm trying to think if there was. Statutory, please, the Space Noids have different ages of consent than Earthlings. Char's soul isn't tied down by Earth's gravity. It's okay for him to find mommies in 12-year-olds. It's only natural. Oh, in 0083, our hottest bad guy girl, Shima, she's piloting her extremely female-looking mobile suit that basically looks like this. It has like a super thin waist. It's like this. And then it's flying around. And then the main character is in his super boxy, masculine, gigantic mobile armor, which has like a massive laser cannon on it, and he just fucking impales her mobile suit on his gigantic laser cannon. It's like chunk, and because it's a laser cannon, then he like shoots it and he blows her in half. So I think that's pretty close to mecha rape. She literally got penetrated by the gigantic laser cannon cock. Evil woman got beam cannon corrected. Feels good, man. I do remember that in Macros Plus, like, there was a setup between the main character and his rival, and then there's like a girl between them. and she kind of likes both of them, but she likes the main character slightly more than the other guy. And then he can't deal with it, and it turns out that back in the day, he kind of lost his mind and sort of raped the girl. But she got over it. Even as a teenager, when watching Macros Plus for the first time, I was like, am I supposed to be sympathetic for the rival guy? Even though he raped her? Huh. I don't know if I'm exactly on board with this. At the time, it felt like that was kind of bullshit, but now in my more advanced stage, I've come to terms with the fact that it might be slightly more realistic than I thought it was, because if she kind of liked the other guy as well, she might be more quick to forgive him. This is 90s, sexuality we're talking about here, so... We still have Showa era guys making their animes, so... It's okay. The rapist buddy rival of the main character redeemed himself by kamikazeing into a drone. He redeemed himself by dying. She was just mad for a little bit. She was like, no. But she got over it, I guess. Also, she has the main problem that all female characters, when there's two guys competing against each other and there's a female character in between, every female character has the problem in which they're just sort of an accessory for the homosexual tension between the two guys. So honestly, we can't spend too much time on her and her little bitty sexual assault allegations. The guys are in a hot-blooded rivalry. That's where the real sexual tension is. The woman is literally just getting in the way. It's basically literally a Griffith type situation. Whenever you have two guys and there's a woman in between them, you have to rape her so that you can get back at your rival or whatever. The female is intruding in your homosexual tension. It's literally Griffith. Miura fixed it by hinting that Casca was a stand-in for Guts himself. I feel like Berserk, it's okay for Casca to get raped because they've already established that everybody gets raped in Berserk. It's not gratuitous in Berserk because literally everything is just rape at all times. First scene of Berserk, rape. Second scene of Berserk, probably also rape. Guts' childhood, getting raped. Griffith's plan to become great in this world, get his ass raped. The horse. That horse is behaving strangely. I wonder what's causing it to act up. Is it because it needs a carrot or something? No, it just wants to rape you. Oh my god, all of these fictional things, fairy tales are becoming real. What's gonna happen first? Rape. Her dying was non-consensual. Yeah, the dick was consensual. The massive sword or whatever that went inside her was not consensual, I guess. Everybody just sort of whitewashes that the beginning of the story was Guts fucking a demon woman because it's kind of out of character and it doesn't really make sense for the rest of the story. And Muta obviously hadn't really established like what kind of a character Guts was at the time. So he was like, let's establish like how grim, dark, and cool this story is first. And then in retrospect, that seems like super out of character and he probably wouldn't do that. This is the problem with starting with like a flash forward and then you have to go flash back after that. Because you haven't really figured out the character yet. And then when you actually get to the Black Swordsman period of Guts, he definitely is not like going around and be like, be right back, Casca. I know you're like heavily retarded and vulnerable on your own, but I have to go and relieve my dick. So, excuse me while I go into the bushes and like fuck this demon and then murder her after I'm done fucking her. Yeah, he ain't doing that in later chapters, of course, so... So much suffering could have been avoided if Guts would just have smashed Griffith's pussy. I know, right? We say this every stream. There is not a day in which we don't think of Griffith's pussy being smashed by Guts' gigacock. What a tragedy. Lowly witch, I need you to help me with my dark urges. No, not like that. That lowly witch is too lowly, even by my relatively accepting of lowly standards. She has like no pubescent features at all. It's creepy as fuck. Just be like, you're a little child, get off of my cock, please. Alright guys, I want to watch Game 7 of NBA Finals, so I'm going to end the stream here. See you around. Have a nice night. Make sure you protect your pussy. Good night, boys.